Kia ora, Marky here with the trademark shaky camera. That's how we do things here because we're spontaneous and fast and loose and we shoot things on our iPhones. So welcome back if you're a subscriber or a patron or a regular visitor to this channel, and greetings if you are somebody that's dropped in for the first time. So this channel covers a multitude of things, but the main thrust of the channel is about kind of bringing some clarity to things where there's a lot of confusion and misunderstanding, and that's what we're going to be doing today on the subject of mediums. Now, I've just recorded, I do another series on elegant speech, demystifying elegant speech. So I've just done another video on the grammar of of this word medium, but today we're talking about a very specific use of that word, because medium can mean a few things. So medium can mean size, medium can mean so essentially medium is something that's in between. So a medium, so we talk about the media, a medium is something that's in between. So it's a media, like a newspaper, is in between the news and the people that it's telling the news to. A medium size is something that's in between a small and large, and a medium, in the sense that we're going to be talking about today, is in between the worlds. Okay, so a little kind of, not disclaimer exactly, but a statement in that we, on this channel, very seldom do we present information from one side, or talk about things unless something's very, very definite scientific fact. Then we don't come at it from any particular belief system. We come at it from an open mind. Minds, like parachutes, work best when they're open, and we have an open mind. I believe everything, and I believe nothing. Okay, so but I'm interested in all sorts of things. So we're not telling you. So a lot of people will think that mediums don't exist, that it's all in the mind, or it's all fraud. I'm kind of be talking a little bit from the perspective of what mediums believe. Okay, so it doesn't mean that I'm selling you a belief system. Whether you think this is real or not, I want you to make up your own mind. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you what to believe. Okay, what we look at is just the theory, really. And what I want to clarify, really, essentially, is what's the difference between a medium and a psychic, if there is one, because I think it's a very confusing issue, because people will use those terms interchangeably. So as we said, a medium is, the word means something that's in between, and what a medium would say is that they are able to be the go-between, the in-between between people who are living, and which might be personal clients, which might be friends and family, or in the case of stage mediums, might be whole audience, and people who have passed over to the other side. Now, what do we mean by the other side? Well, again, this is all theory. So the mediums come out of a spiritualist tradition, and I think there have always been mediums. People have always done this stuff, but a lot of the theory and the language and the context that people do practice mediumship in these days tends to be consistent and come out of the spiritualist tradition. And I've done a video on that, so if I can remember, I'll put a link to that in the description box. So basically, it's a belief that we as human beings do not, our souls do not perish when our physical body dies. They simply go somewhere else. And it's possible to communicate with spirits who are on the other side, and they use terms like that, or the spirit world. Now, you might also interpret that as heaven, or the summer lands, or I think in the Greek tradition it's the Elysian Fields, isn't it? Interestingly, most mediums also believe in reincarnation. I was quite surprised because I thought the two beliefs were kind of opposed. Because I thought, well, if people are reincarnated, how can you talk to them? So the belief that tends to go with mediumship and mediums is that people, when they pass over, they go somewhere, a kind of resting place in between lives, and in some situations, not always, but in some situations, they're able to communicate with perhaps their loved ones through a medium. So they believe there's kind of a veil between this world and the next world, and for them that veil is a little thinner than it is for most people. And a medium would, so some mediums would say that they hear the spirits, some mediums would say that they see the spirits, some mediums would say that they just get kind of a sense, kind of a kinetic sense of spirits, and they're able to kind of communicate information, not necessarily through kind of direct speech, though in some cases that seems to be the way, but the theory is that the medium will pick up impressions and images and symbols which are given by the spirit on the other side to pass across to the person on this side. Hence, that's what they're called a medium. Excuse me. So, if you have that ability, it means you can talk to, spirits. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be like an interpreter and have somebody else involved. It can be just a two-way communication rather than a three-way communication. But the act of mediumship usually implies that somebody else is involved. But most mediums, well, some mediums would say it's a gift, and some mediums would say that it's something that they learn, and certainly these are things that are taught. Okay, so why would you see a medium? Well, you might go and see a medium if you're missing someone that's passed on, so if you could make a connection with them. You might go and see a medium because you believe that the spirits that are passed on can pass on kind of helpful information to you, which is a controversial point, really, because some people will say that, Uncle Ken was he was a kind of a fuckwit while he was here on Earth. Why is he going to be able to kind of transmit wisdom to you while he's on the other side? One of the theories there is that people who passed over are in a more enlightened state, or certainly that they're closer to planes of reality where more information and more wisdom is accessible. Make your own mind up on that one. Okay, so that is a medium. Okay, so sometimes mediums, natural mediums would say that they've always seen people that aren't there, if you like, that other people can't see. They've always kind of felt that spirits have been coming to them for help. So there's different kind of specialisms as well. There's rescue medium. So there's a belief that kind of a ghost is, in some theories, a spirit that's been earthbound, not able to move on to a kind of a heavenly place or an afterlife realm, and is kind of floating around in the physical realm in an unhappy state. So rescue mediumship is where the medium will kind of find those spirits and communicate with them and give them guidance to help them. And the terminology usually is kind of crossover to a better place. So that's a medium. Okay, so are mediums psychics? Well, yes, because it's a psychic ability. It's not using your physical senses, although they kind of I think they interface with the psychic senses, definitely, but it's not using direct physical senses. It's using, if you like, the sixth sense or psychic sense. So can people be psychic without being mediumistic? Yes. Okay. So, and this is the bit that people get confused about. So you can go and see a psychic that's not mediumistic. Okay. So they will probably be, probably more sensitive to spirits, but that's not their main source of information. That's not their kind of MO, really. They don't kind of seek to get information first and foremost from spirits on the other side. What they do is they tune in to your energy and to the energy of tune into everything, really. Tune into what's beyond the physical. I mean, there's many belief systems that would say that we are a kind of a part of a bigger whole. We're like a hologram of the whole universe. As within, so without. That we can actually tune into kind of a web of connection, and therefore we can find out, learn things that we wouldn't necessarily know through having been told them or read them or experienced them. That we can actually it's interesting in a way that I think since the internet, the language around kind of some of these things has kind of changed slightly, because it's given us better analogies, really. So it's a little bit like if not many people have smartphones or personal computers, and they can tap into the internet, but not many people can. They can access a vast amount of information and communicate and connect and with something sort of way beyond what somebody without a smartphone or a computer can do. So I guess that's kind of an analogy for a psychic. So you've got mediums, you've got psychics. I would say that nearly all mediums, well, I don't know, trying to kind of think of a Venn diagram of this, really. Most mediums would also be psychics, so they would tune in maybe beyond connection with spooks. They would also have a connection to that kind of psychic internet, and maybe not. Maybe they just connect with spooks. Spooks is a kind of a shorthand term that I use. Spirits is probably a more respectful term. So but it's a psychic ability because it's seeing beyond. So to an extent they need some hardware and software, or to develop some hardware and software, to kind of extend that analogy. So what do we mean by a clairvoyant? Because that's another word that we use, isn't it? Clairvoyant. So a clairvoyant is basically, there's several terms for so I talked about the interface between the physical senses and the psychic senses. Okay, so remember, this is all theory. I'm not expecting you to believe any of this stuff. Okay, this is all established theory. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm just reporting, basically. So I'm a medium in that sense. So there are different words that are used to describe the dominant sense that interfaces and enables them to retrieve psychic information. So a clairvoyant is somebody that's a clairvoyant. So if you think of the word like voyeur, which means to look, to observe, to see. So clairvoyance means clear vision. So somebody who is clairvoyant may see things in the same way that they see you and I. More often they'll see things in their mind's eye, but it will be a visual image. And so it might be symbols, it might be kind of very direct and obvious things. So clairaudient is somebody that will hear things. Clairsentient is somebody that will just kind of know things, know or feel things. So these are all words that you use, and of course many psychics are a combination of all these things. But some are just one, some might be limited to one, and some might have all of them, but one is predominant. So somebody could be a psychic, and as a psychic they are a clairvoyant, but they're also a bit clairaudient, and they might pick up on things like smell and taste as well. So all these things can seem very similar. So I think medium is like an interpreter, somebody that's a go-between. So medium is getting information from spirits. A psychic is picking up information psychically from what's around. A little bit like, it's an intuitive process. A little bit like, they say we all have this. I think most people do. Some people have it to high level. It's like a bell curve. Some people have it to high level. Some have it, very, very minimal psychic ability, but most people are kind of somewhere in the middle. So, you know, we've all had that, or most of us have that thing where we think about someone and then they make contact with us, or something comes to mind, you know, in a very random way, and then that turns out to be something that's very relevant to what's going on. So that's the kind of psychic ability. And so clairvoyant is so when you get to talk about things like clairvoyant, you're being very specific. You're getting into kind of the details of the MO of how that psychic works. So I guess clairvoyant is a subset of a psychic. Okay, so I hope that hasn't complicated things more than more, because my kind of MO is about demystifying, not remystifying. So how does that fit in with other things then? And what, you know, what's being a psychic? What's that all about? Is that something you're born with or something you learn? Again, like being a medium, some people say they're born with it. Some people say they deliberately fostered it and trained in it and used techniques to develop those skills. Okay, so what then is a shaman? Okay, so shaman is kind of, you know, comes in a very kind of different cultural package, really, generally speaking. So psychics, mediums, you know, would tend to kind of hang out together, if you like. You know, they would kind of move in, you know, potentially move in the same circles. And they are people that exist in kind of in all cultures, I guess, but that kind of language that we refer to is kind of fits with a modern kind of Western culture. A shaman is somebody who has practiced psychic abilities, but within the context of an indigenous spiritual tradition. Okay, so a shaman is using a whole range of psychic, mediumistic, and occult abilities that would be part of usually a tribal belief system. So it doesn't mean that you have to belong to an indigenous tribe to be a shaman, because people in the Western world, people like you and me, are becoming shamans and learning that tradition. But the origin of it and the context of it and the practice of shamanism is all about connection with nature, connection with different realms, connection with things like animal and plant spirits, and that kind of thing, and comes with each shamanistic tradition will come with a very specific belief system. So you get shamans in the Native American tradition, you get the Sami shamans that are up in Finland, and you probably get a lot of traditions that, you know, wouldn't necessarily use the word shaman, but they are practicing shamanistic practices. Okay. But that's a whole big thing, really. I just wanted to kind of throw that one in there as well, really. It's a little bonus demystification, really. But the main point I wanted to make, really, was the difference between psychics and mediums. And, of course, it gets confusing because often, very, very often, you know, if the two aren't one and the same, then there's a big crossover between the two. So somebody that's a psychic who doesn't normally practice mediumistically probably will from time to time say that they're communicating or picking up or seeing a spirit and taking information from it. And most mediums probably would pick up psychic information which isn't directly from spirits. So this is all theory. This is what the people that practice this stuff will tell you. Okay. What do I think about it? I don't usually go into my beliefs in this, really, because, like I say, I have a very open mind. One thing that I do believe in from personal experience is that very seldom, I don't think I've ever met anybody who is practicing this stuff as a charlatan in order to fleece people or make money from people. Now, I say that because there's something that people always say, oh, these people are just doing it to get money off people. The psychics and mediums that I've met have all been poor. So, for the most part, I don't think that. But I think where it is used fraudulently is in, things like phone lines and stuff. And I'm not saying that all phone lines are fraudulent, because I know some of them do actually, recruit genuine psychics and mediums. But I think, I would be, if you're thinking of consulting somebody that's a psychic or a medium for a reading, then I would strongly recommend get a word of mouth recommendation from someone that's been to them, check somebody out. Because yeah, I think the stuff that like online, it used to be in adverts in magazines, probably still is. I think some of that is probably dodgy as hell, actually. Not all, but probably a good proportion of it. Whereas people, individuals who are practicing and see people for readings, in my personal experience, they've all been totally genuine. Some of them are better than others. Some of them probably rubbish, but they're sincere and genuine. So find a good one, and the best way to work. Another way to find out a good one is how long does it take you to get an appointment with them? Because I know some really good ones that but you have to kind of wait 6 months for an appointment. That's another good indication. Not the only indication, but a good one. Okay. So how does this fit with religion? Okay, how does this fit with, say, Christianity? Oh, that's an interesting one. I'm not going to get into that now, but if you're interested, let me know and I will do a video on that, because there is a clash of belief systems. Although I think actually, in lots of ways, it's kind of done within churches. They just have a different belief system about it in a different context. Around it, but often churches are very wary of this, and there are references in the Bible to you shouldn't consult a medium or a fortune teller or all that kind of thing. So that's another interesting dimension to it. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. Probably raises more questions than it answers, but if you have questions, let me know, and maybe we can do some follow-on videos. If you become a patron, then I will go out of my way to make videos at your request. So for patrons, if they say, Marky, do a video on, yes, I do want to know about the religious aspect of it, the Christian aspect of it, I will be at great pains to quickly make a video to respond to that. That's one of the benefits of being a patron. So, all theory, all a matter of belief. Some people are very dismissive about this stuff. Some people think it's evil. Some people think it's a wonderful and very useful tool. I'm here to pull apart the theory, not to tell you what to think. Always think for yourself. Always question. And with care, explore. Ray Mario.